welcome to the 5th webinar in Edify Learning Space's certification program in socio-emotional learning. My name is Leah Alfredo Meadow, and I'm going to be moderating today. I am currently a student at UBC. I've experienced the switch to online learning from the student's perspective. And I'm also very interested in Priyanka's talk today because I was homeschooled until grade 3. Although in a time when screen time wasn't an issue. So our webinar today is on mentored screen time, and it will be recorded, so it will be available on YouTube later, but please be comfortable that none of your information is going to be available, your name, your face, none of that will be in the recording. Please don't worry about it. And I really encourage you to ask questions, to participate in the webinar. We have the Q&A section in the bottom and the chat. And I will ask Priyanka any questions when we get to the end. So I'm going to introduce Priya now, who is our host and the CEO of Edify Learning Spaces. Priya?
Thank you, Leah. It's so wonderful to have you on board again. I just want to say that we are joining you from the Squamish unceded territories of Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations, otherwise known as Vancouver. And I am the founder of Edify Learning Spaces. It is a one-on-one online tutoring company with a strong focus on social emotional learning. Social emotional learning can unlock our emotions and help us get ready to learn and increase our confidence. My quest for social emotional learning led me to finding Priyanka. The topic that we will be discussing today falls on the social emotional learning wheel in terms of responsible decision making and self-management. This is webinar 5 with Priyanka Raha, the founder of PopSmartKids. Priyanka is a strategist, technologist, entrepreneur, speaker, blogger, and mom to 2 boys. She's passionate about raising tech-ready citizens and creating opportunities with technology. She founded PopSmartKids with a bold mission of reimagining screen time to inspire the budding creators, writers, and thinkers of tomorrow. Her company has launched PopSmartWrite, a story writing app that empowers parents and educators to mentor the next generation of authors. She's a contributor to Thrive Global and is a frequent speaker on digital citizenship, early education, and entrepreneurship. She serves on the board of the Dottie Rose Foundation, which is a nonprofit that encourages girls to learn STEAM, or science, tech, engineering, art, and math. When not working, she enjoys biking and cooking with her children. And I would like to hand it off to Priyanka.
Thank you so much, Priya. That was such a wonderful intro. I'm so flattered. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm so thrilled that you are spending your lunch hour, or if you're on the East Coast, your early afternoon with us today. I myself am thrilled to be here. And I was just going to quickly refer back to what Leah was saying in the beginning is when she was homeschooled while she was little, there were no screens. We did not have the digital devices in our hands, but I think of it like as my time when I was growing up, there were TVs. So I feel like every generation of parents has something to worry about, because I do remember my mom just, continuously telling me, stop watching and really start to pay attention to my books. So with that, a little bit about myself. As Priya said, I really love cooking and making treats and all fun stuff with my 2 boys. They're in the elementary school. I live in Seattle with my husband and my 2 boys. Now you would think like this is picture perfect. We're smiling. There's no spillage, nothing, but that's not how my life is. It's almost like this, crushed and loved. And anyways, I absolutely love it. I started PopSmartKids with really the idea of, I'm not an educator. I really come from a purely tech background. I have held positions in the tech space for 15 years. My journey into education has really been through my kids, trying to help them and understand. And really when I started to see my kids drawn into the digital devices and never really lifting their face up and talking to me, I kind of call that a black hole phenomenon, like when you just forget anything else around you exists. Sure, I could parent without screen time, but I could also, grow my own wheat and do all that stuff. Because, as I'm a parent like most of you, and as we all know, it's not the age we live in. And it's also not what I believe in, because in this age, the kids that we are actually raising, they're going to be using the digital devices, whether we like it or not. We might as well be there and kind of hold their hand when they're trying to learn and navigate that space. With that, I wanted to quickly jump into, I love tech. I also love all the different things that Zoom does when we screen share. So I wanted to quickly bring up, like, why is it very important today more than ever to really help our kids understand and learn about the digital space and to be really their own agency. That is because if you look at the statistics, about 8 years and under, kids that age, they are spending more than an hour each day on their mobile devices. And this is a statistic that is over a year ago. So we know how pandemic has changed those statistics. 71% parents that I speak to are concerned that their child is spending too much time on screens. And we are doing the same thing as well. About half of the adults, actually, we check our phones within 5 minutes of waking up. So this is a reality that we are living in. Now, I want to make sure that this is very clear from the very beginning. There are some screen time recommendations from the American Academy of Pediatrics. I should have done a check of other countries as well, but we will consider that this is kind of universal in all the countries. And I want to make sure that none of the mentoring that we will be diving into applies to babies younger than 18 months, and they should have no screen time at all. And toddlers can start to enjoy some screen time with a parent or caregiver. By ages 2 or 3, kids should watch no more than an hour a day. With that, I want to bring up some of the things that I consistently read on either Facebook groups or just on social media that parents are talking about. One of my favorite one is that my 6-year-old has hacked my password. And that age can go from anywhere between 4 or 5 and to early teens later. So the reason I bring that up is because we will see why that's the reason why a lot of the times monitoring alone doesn't work. And a lot of the times we all say, like, I don't know what my kids are doing on their computers. It just becomes like that black hole or the black box that I was referring to in the beginning. And then the other thing that I really find interesting is that, and I have done that too, and that's how my journey of really understanding that screen time, that space, how our kids are engaging with that, and how we as parents and mentors can really help them navigate that space is, I found when I started to do my research, I found conflicting reports on the amounts of screen time. There would always be questions on any of the parenting site or groups or conversations as to what's the correct amount of hours or time during the day, number of hours during the day that my kids should watch. Now that varies a lot because every family, every child, every parent, every individual, they're all different. And we'll dive into it that every screen time is also different. It's unique. And so that brings us to the point that monitoring alone is not going to help us. And I am in no shape or form saying that we should stop monitoring or we shouldn't have those time limits. But I'm saying is that the monitoring needs to be backed up with a lot of mentoring. Let's talk about like what that mentoring to me means, what that really entails. So if you look at this picture, it's that extremely busy road. There are about 2 lanes back and forth on each side, and then you see some of those crosswalks there. So if you think about the digital world, the space that we go into, whether or not it's social media or online games that late tweens or early teens and teenagers might be playing, I see that as this space where it's extremely crowded. Busy cars are coming back and forth. I'm sure as a parent, there have been at least one situation where you would have been standing right at the edge of a road trying to cross the road with your child. And I don't think we as parents, we ever tell them, hey, it's really busy. Cars are coming by. Let's just never cross the road. Let's just never go to the other side. But we don't do that. What we do instead is we tell them, we give them the tools that will help them. We tell them, hey, look for that sign, the walk sign. This is what you do. You look right, you look left, and then you make sure that it's safe to cross. And that's what you do. And up until the kid is ready to do that by themselves, you actually hold their hand and help them cross the road. So why are we doing it differently for the digital world? And that's why I think we need to hold their hand. We need to be able to mentor them so that they can cross that road, that busy road, extremely dangerous road when the time comes. Because we all know the digital space has its pros and cons, and they're going to be there whether we like it or not. A little bit about some research that was done by few. So digital mindsets, what they did was they took a big pool of parents and they asked them the kind of relationship they have and the things that they focus on at home with their kiddos. So and they then categorized them into 3 different categories. And they did this over a period of time because they went back and kind of did the survey with the same set of parents and also the same set of kids. So the 3 different types are digital limiters, digital enablers, and digital mentors. Now the digital limiters and enablers are sort of like the extreme ends of the spectrum, where one set might be kind of believe in that no amount of screen time is good. And then there can be another side of the spectrum who do not know what their kids are doing, have no visibility. But then they did this, the digital mentors, who are neither of this. They are not governed by the amount of time that their families are spending, but they're more driven by the active role that they themselves as parents play in their kids' digital participation or digital life. And those are the kids who actually behave responsibly online. So I want to introduce you all to this a little impact about technology. Now, if we think about it, we want to make sure that technology has a positive impact, that our kids grow up kind of thinking of technology as a tool, as something that they can engage with, they can learn, and really helps them to grow and stay focused. Teach your kids so that they can use technology and not be used by technology. I would love to go through each of them one by one. So let's dive into a little bit on the first thing. So inquire about screen time. Like we were looking at the digital mentors. So we're thinking about the set of parents and mentors who actually take a really active role in their kids' screen time activities is what I'm suggesting to do with inquiring about screen time. And making screen time like an opportunity. One thing I would definitely point out here is not make screen time as sort of a candy or a reward. Then it becomes like this thing that is very special and only happens when you do something. It becomes like this, not something that you grow with, not something, think of it like a book. So all kinds of books are not good for kids, but that doesn't mean books are bad. It just means that there are certain books that you want to engage, that you want your kids to engage with. So make screen time an opportunity, give them cues, ask them what they have done. And it doesn't need to be, as parents, we all need that time when we want to get food on the table, do you send that very essential email that we need to send to our colleagues at work. All of those things need to be done, and let the kids have their screen time. Do the time thing, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is. But I would highly suggest to ask about that screen time later, engage with them, ask them what they did, keep the conversation going outside of the screen time. I'm in no way saying that a parent has to be always next to their child to really monitor. I really don't like that because that is not scalable. That is not possible every single day. And that is not going to help your kid. And also make it a two-way street. Sometimes it really helps if I personally show interest to my kids and say, oh, that's a really cool game. I don't know how to play that. Can you show me? And then they become really excited. They bring out the best parts of the game and there's a show me. The other thing is we talked a lot about that time, the amount of time. I think thinking less about that amount of time and more about that, is it balanced with some sort of physical movement? You know, as adults, we are also said, like a lot of our jobs these days are on laptops. So we're just very sedentary at one place, and there are so many classes and just suggestions out there for adults as well to get up and to move and to take that 5 minutes break, walk, get your water. The same things apply for kids, and just think about it like much more. Kids just don't need those 5 minutes. They need a lot of physical movement because they're also growing. So as long as you remember that, I would highly encourage you to keep that balance between screen time and having that physical activity. I absolutely think that at no point we should give up the physical exercise and the movement part of it for devoting more time on screens. And there is another thing which I think has been really essential in this online schooling or hybrid schooling that my kids have been doing, and a lot of our children have been doing, schools have been closed, is to remember the 20-20-20 rule. So what the eye doctors, they say is that the screens are always at a very close proximity to our eyes. So every 20 minutes, look at something that is 20 feet away for 20 seconds. Now, I love allegory, so it's 20-20-20, but not just 20 seconds, but I encourage them to kind of take those mini breaks. Go get your water. You have been on the screen for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Go move around so you can see something that is far away. And that way their eyes are not glued or their muscles in their eyes are not exhausted. Many times we have seen like our kids complain that they have been watching if for any reason, and it can happen, like don't worry about it so much. I think there is always, I love to think about it like, don't fall into that place of like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that he's watching so much, but move forward and see like in the future what we can do about it. I'm absolutely against tech shaming. Parents are doing a fabulous job given the situation now, and even just otherwise. So tech shaming is not how we move forward or how we grow. And this is something that I wrote on Thrive Global as well. I'm deeply passionate about not tech shaming anybody. And then move around. Like you don't have to always have playtime outside because I live in Seattle. A lot of the days are so rainy that we can just start something on YouTube and do a dance party. This one is another thing that I always try to kind of hold up the mirror to myself as well. Because in the daily rut of things, we're working, we're catching up with our friends, we are calling our parents. A lot of the things happen that sometimes it seems that kind of answering that email in the middle of dinner, it's going to be just 2 minutes, and we might fall into that. So I think it's also important to remember that the same rules apply to everybody. And kids, this is something when I had my 10-year-old was just a little boy, not even a toddler. My mom told me is that worry not that he's not listening to you, worry that he's always watching you. So I truly try to remember that in all through my parenting journey, is that I have to be careful about what I'm doing because it has to reflect what I'm asking him to do. So that's true about screen time as well. And I have seen so many times at either a playground or at a kid's birthday party where the kid, and they're standing next to their parent and they're asking them to see something, and the parent is just really, and this is very subconscious. It's not that the parent is deliberately not wanting to listen. It's just very subconscious. Is that like that really serious email or that comment that needs to be posted, and the parent is not even looking at the child and answering. But at the same time, as parents, we do get really, really upset when we are trying to speak to our kids and they are not looking at us. So just remember that, you know, it's more important on how they see us handling screen time rather than what we tell them to do. I have on there as no screens during meal times. And the reason I have just meal times is I think it's extremely important to have one certain time during the day when everyone in the family can really connect with each other without the distraction of screens. And that doesn't need to be dinner or breakfast. Like I said, every family is different. The work pattern, the life pattern of every family is different. So find a time when, you know, everybody can really connect. It's just not for the present. It's also something that will set the kids up for success as they grow up, and they kind of will grow up with that habit. And that's extremely important, to have a really healthy, balanced mindset towards using digital devices. So a little bit about going back to that power of agency, right? It's so important, and we bring that in our everyday life as well. We teach our kids to brush their own teeth when they're ready. Oh, you can do it. Just hold your brush and put the toothpaste, and we kind of always are their cheerleaders. The same way, a lot of the monitoring that we as parents do in terms of the number of minutes that they can watch, when they can watch, I highly encourage you to work with your children on kind of making sure that they stay true to that. For example, if you're making some kind of having some kind of a discussion of how many minutes, oh, this is the weekend, let's look at how many minutes of screen time do you think you should have. Bring in your children in those conversations. Let them be a part of it. Listen to them. I'm in no way saying, like, if they come up and say, oh, we want to play Minecraft game for like 7 hours a day. No, give them the chance to share what they think. And then, you know, you are the parent, you have the wisdom. So now you come back and you really explain to them with sufficient logic and reasoning and say, well, 7 hours is not going to work because we have to do all the other things in a day that we have to do. I truly believe when kids are part of that decision-making process, they're better at keeping to the rules. And sometimes some really automated monitoring rules may apply. Like, I think Kindle Fire still has that, the child lock. There can be screen time lock that we can enable for anybody having iOS devices. I'm a little behind on what we can do with Android, but my point is it doesn't need to be fancy at all. I will show you, I wanted to share this. So this is something my two kids that did. I just encouraged them to take 2 papers and just write down how much of, what are the kinds of screen time they need to have. The reason, and in this case, words matter too. I wanted to point out because it's there that it's non-screen creative and screen time creative. So non-screen creative kind of goes back to, are they painting using just pen and paper? My 10-year-old takes digital art lessons. So that's screen creative. My younger one, I have taught him to do Scratch, which is a really fun programming, just drag and drop, really cool. But that is also creative. That is not something that they're consuming. They're really, really learning and growing. So we did this little chart. Yeah, so it doesn't need to be fancy at all. And this is, again, going back to, like I was saying in the beginning, every family, every child, everyone is different. Everyone's reaction to screen time is also different. So you know your kiddo the best, and you know how they are reacting to screen time. And sometimes that differs. Some days, my kids will be reacting to screen time entirely differently than other days. So make those adjustments. So which is again saying, like, any kind of screen time is really unique. There is actually a going theory and a lot of research that is happening around screenome. It's almost like the signature of that screen time. What are you doing with it? Is it Is it creative? Is it consuming? Are the kids being just sitting on the sofa and just consuming lots of content, even if it is content that is helpful? I think balancing that with something that they are creating using screen time is helpful in the long run. So pay attention to content over really the amount of time. And I think, like I was saying, like putting words to all of this and kind of using them in our daily life is really, really helpful. What my kids sometimes say, they sometimes will actually tell you that we need to be using different words, because this is something that came upon when, I have been on laptop all day, I have been working, and my kids, when I tell them that, it's time for you to stop watching YP Kids and do something different, they would come and tell me, Mommy, you're on your screen, so why can't we be? So then I started thinking about how can we kind of separate all of these different types of screen time, because we can say, oh, we ate food, and we could be eating like 20 Oreos with milk, which would be great, I think, but kids would love that. But we don't want that. We want to like balance that with fruits and vegetables and everything else. So categorize screen time as whether is it creative? Is it teaching them to learn math? Is it teaching them to draw? Or is it just fun? That's okay too. We don't have to always have screen time that is helping us learn. It could be just fun, playing around, trying to remember the game, Temple Run. It's really popular with my kids and their friends. And I'm really learning the whole digital game space. I didn't grow up with digital devices, and every day there is something new. And then the other thing, this is kind of an extension of that not all screen time is created equal. So technology is really a tool. And the way the world is evolving, the way the workplace is evolving, the way the education space is evolving, technology is going to stay. And it is only useful if we can use technology as a really, really efficient tool. So creators versus consumers is where we are moving towards using technology. And that happens at home. So if we start telling our kids and kind of inspiring them, encouraging them to create using technology, that will go a long way in remembering that technology is not something to feel ashamed about. It is something that they're using. It's almost like that pencil. They're using the pencil to write, they're using the pencil to draw. There's so many different apps and fun things that could be done. I have a few examples, which is like I really, really love the GarageBand. Simple things like one of my favorite things that we do these days is my older one has Messenger kids. And so what we do is we are on our phones. We're literally in the same house, but it's just so fun. So we go on and we kind of do video chat with each other, and we make this funny, silly faces. And kids are going through a lot. If you think that this time of being isolated is hard for adults, they have it worst, because they just miss their peers. And so many times during those video chats is when I actually learn that he has had. He will put up some sort of a face or something. I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's like you can have all of these emojis around your face and change the background. So it just is a reflection. So be open to new things, and as long as you incorporate actual human interaction with screen time, it's not so bad. My parents live in India, so we do video chat with my parents. My kids love to do video chat with my mom, and it's just such a great way to connect. We definitely cannot put that in the bucket of, oh, this is screen time, so now we have to like really stop. It's so very different. So just wanted to round that up and say, really remember that, engage with them. The conversation can keep going. Even like I said, meal times or times that you have decided your family that's the time that works for your family to stay away from digital devices, you can still have conversations about the digital experiences that your kids had. I wanted to bring up this really, really awesome quote from Deborah Heitner. I really love her work. She's the author of a book called Screen Wise, and I think I have that in the next slide I'll share. It just really speaks to how essential it is, and she has done a ton of research, and she really is a proponent and a believer of mentoring kids on using digital devices. So I love this quote, and I'm just going to read it out, saying, remember that you have wisdom and try not to panic when things go wrong in your child's digital world. Some challenges are inevitable, and learning to deal with them is part of growing up in the digital age. So just remember that, and I think parenting we see that every time in other spheres of what we're trying to teach our kiddos. But when it comes to digital devices, I personally think the reason we feel so tied down is because we didn't grow up with them. So we feel a little out of depth, and it seems like a little bit of an unknown territory. But know that the life lessons are the real wisdom, digital or not. So with that, I do want to. So that's the book. And it's really great. It's a quick read and awesome content. I wanted to share some quick examples of things that I follow. And I bring up the book analogy quite often is because books are great. We all love going to the library. We teach our kids to read books. But if you think about it, Godfather by Mariam Puzo, it's like a great book. It's a great book for me, for my adult friends. It's not a great book for my 10-year-old. So the way I look at Common Sense is they have this great ratings for apps, kids apps, and movies and shows. I just use those as guidelines to think about like whether or not it has some content, because I would love to watch every single show, movie before I actually expose my kids to them, but that's not possible. Although I have watched Daniel Tiger even after my kids have fallen asleep. But I do want to mention that Common Sense is a great resource like that. But again, I will highly, highly recommend that whatever you see on Common Sense, after that, your child the best. You know what they like or not like. So use your judgment. YouTube Kids is a really great one. They don't have content that scary, although I have seen some really, really useless content. And that's where I think it comes in, like talk to them about what they're watching, ask them to give you a quick summary, snapshot of what they have been doing. And then Khan Academy is free. It just has been such a great resource. So I thought I will mention that, especially during the last year. It just has been, it's super fun. And they have a Khan Academy Junior and just a plain Khan Academy available on all devices, I believe. And then we talked about GarageBand before as well. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the work that I do, because I do feel extremely passionate about the idea of technology using technology intentionally in our lives. So I started my company just to drive that mission. And we have 2 apps in the App Store, both iOS and Android. One of them is really our flagship product, and it's PopSmartKids. It's a writing platform where kids can go in and write, not just using words, but images, art. You can really bring up those family vacation photos from early 2020 or 2019, I don't know, and just draw pictures on them and write stories about them. The first 2 stories are free. They are not behind any paywall, so you just can download and really start using them. We wanted to make it accessible and free for everybody to try it out. PopSmart Trivia is a really fun family trivia game. Feel free to send me an email and connect with me. I love meeting new people. And with that, I'll say it's been fun, and I will stop talking now and would love to have some questions and hand the mic to Leah and stop sharing as well.
Thank you, Priyanka. I think just so that we don't run over time, we're going to skip questions for now. If anybody has questions, they can send them to Priya and we can get them answered in the newsletter. And with follow-up information, they'll get access to your contact info, Priya's contact info, all of the slides will all be in the next newsletter. But thank you so much. That was such a fantastic presentation. So much information in there.
Yeah, thank you so much. We usually have, I think we have a lot of great content, but I think you just really broke it down and got so much information in a short period of time. So I really appreciate that. So I think in terms of slides, we could try to include some of the information in the newsletter, but probably not all of it, just because it was so much. But I appreciate everything that you have. And I think it's really important that you told us about those 3 apps that you have, because that looks really fun. And I'm glad that you have options for us to use it no matter which device, right?
If I may add quickly as well, a lot of this information I thought like could be really helpful. So if you go visit PopSmartKids.com, and it's a downloadable free ebook. A lot of this content is actually available as a free ebook. So yeah, please feel free to visit the website, you can download the ebook.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I think in closing, we'll just say that stay tuned for next month. Next month, information will be in the newsletter. And thank you very much to our wonderful guest, Priyanka. And thank you so much to Leah for moderating today. Signing off.